One, go.
Go. Hello, hello.
Hey, big boy. This is Big Boy Talk, episode 14. Now with new and
Mugs.
improved with mugs. Yeah.
We didn't make ourselves
We didn't make the mugs. Yeah.
the mugs ourselves. They were a gift from our wives. So this is a big plus for us.
Yeah.
We have two more supporters.
We're up to 3. Yeah, that's really good. So, episode 14. I'm gonna turn on the timer so we structure ourselves better. It's the second episode from our priorities series, yeah. And we're gonna talk about having a 9-to-5 job versus having your own business or following your passion or something like that. And we thought about beginning with pros and cons for each of the two sides. And we can talk first, since both of us have more experience in 9-to-5 jobs. We could
Okay.
talk about those.
Okay, let's do it. Those
you
are
have a-
great.
Those are often not great. And most things that you will read online or in books or stuff like that will be about how bad they are. There aren't a lot of books about how great a corporate job is. Even though it could be.
Yes, and that's because most of the authors that say this or write this they're making a living outside a normal job, and they say, okay, you shouldn't do that because I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So sometimes the 9-to-5 job, it's regarded as soul crushing cage where you have to modern slavery. You have to work for someone and for
Make
that
them rich.
make them rich, and they give you some money so you can I don't know, live, eat, get some clothes and so on. But that's it.
Survive. Yeah.
Survive, yes. And yeah, it's kind of a grim
Picture.
picture, but and sometimes it's true. But first of all, we've seen a lot of progress in the last centuries when we talk about labor. So if 100 years ago, someone who was working for a boss was working a heavy duty job,
Yeah, they didn't
Now-
have a lot of rights.
rights, benefits, and even pay. They weren't good earners.
Yeah.
Now you can be in a corporation or even in a small business. You can be an employee and make a decent living without having the burden of carrying the business.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
Most of people, when they think about their boss or the owner of the business or owning a business, they don't think about the details. They only see a dream.
Yeah.
Oh, I would be rich, I would have money and time and flexibility. Yes, but you would have to have employees that come and go. You have to have investments, loans. You would have to pay taxes. You would have to face the authorities in different different regulations. You would have to think about the environment, the market environment. You will have to have a long-term perspective. You will have to have a backup plan and so much more than just flexibility and free time and more money. So a lot of things that people dream of when they think, I want to have my own business, they don't think of the nasty stuff. They only think of the benefits.
Yeah. And when you hear someone who's really rich tell you about the journey, people tend to emphasize the good stuff, because when you end up in a happy ending, in a good point, you tend to minimize the hard times, and then it's hard for you to say, okay, I'm a happy business owner, let me talk for 45 minutes about the hard times and 5 minutes about the good times, but that's probably the right percentage. But you have to consider, so going with the pros of a normal job, the security that it gives you, the vacation days, the health insurance, the fact that you can't be fired on a whim from your boss, so there are procedures, and those are pretty valuable things, especially since most people or all people value security and
Yes, true.
yeah.
And on top of that, you, especially if you're just starting a job or just starting working, you have someone to teach you how to do stuff.
Okay.
You have procedures that help you do your job in a way that it's efficient. Because if you start, okay, I can make this. My passion is to make coasters. Okay, how do I do that? Oh, probably I'll take some plastic and cut it and put a picture on it. And yeah, but if you work in a company that does this for 10 years, you will find out where to get the cheapest plastic, the best glue that makes these things stick, the best, and you will learn to do things the proper way. And because when you're 18, everybody thinks that they know everything. They know how the world spins, but after some years, you begin to understand that others have more experience in different areas, and you can learn a lot from them, and then apply to your job.
Yeah, your coaster example made me think about a possible benefit of starting your own business, and maybe we could talk about the pros of that for a little bit. And yeah, in most cases, the smart thing to do is go to a business that has 10 years experience and look at how they do things. And if you do things the same way, you'll get a good product. But there is a possibility for a minority of people to let themselves be challenged by building a better coaster, and then maybe they'll find a better glue out of a material that nobody thought about. Maybe they'll find a more quality plastic that will make people feel like the Queen of England.
True.
So,
but it's unlikely.
Yeah, very unlikely.
That's not really a pro, because if something is possible but it's unlikely, that's a negative aspect of the business, because to find something new in a business that other big companies are investing in research and development millions, and you are a small time and you're just beginning, the chances of you finding that glue or you finding that new solution that no one thought of it before that, it's minimal. So I wouldn't put my money on that one. And the big company has the better resources, the better suppliers, the smaller prices, because they buy in bulk, and
that's true.
and they have the disadvantage over you. So you have to find find your unique selling point, and then say, okay, I want to start the coaster business. Okay, if I have a new idea, then that's my unique selling point. This is original. Okay, go with it. But and then find out how the big companies do it. But just going there and finding out how they do it, that doesn't guarantee that you will have a good business just by copying them and trying to reinvent something that they couldn't. Find the need and then...
Yeah, I would agree. That's not something that I would necessarily recommend. I'm just saying that's a possible thing. Maybe influenced by too many books and blogs of successful people.
those aren't that many.
Yeah, yeah.
In comparison.
But they are maybe the most visible,
Yes.
you could say. Mhm.
That is true.
And one thing that having your own business, following your passion, made me think about was the fact that you would pull away from working for somebody else, having a boss, but it would take to the extreme the idea that you have to parent yourself. I think we talked about it, or maybe
Yes.
off camera. Nobody tells you when you're an adult that you have to parent yourself, tell yourself to do what you don't want to do. And having a business, I think, takes that to the extreme. You not only have to do the right things, like exercise a little bit, eat well, go to work, but also it requires even more. What do you do in your free time? Think about your business a little bit, because you need to think about the future, but you also need to solve the problems of the present. And that's I think a tough thing to do. Having it always on your mind, in comparison to you leave work at 5 or 6 o'clock and then the evening is yours in some way.
And that is one of the things that if you manage it well, in a 9-to-5 job can be a big plus. The fact that you are involved in your work, but you are not your work. If someone criticizes the things that your company does, or even your work, it's something that it's impersonal. It's the company, not me. If you do something that is yours, you often take that as a personal offense, or you start devaluing yourself, or seeing yourself worse because someone is criticizing yourself. So that's
you put your soul into the
Yes.
coaster, as we said before, and if somebody says it's not good, yeah, they're saying you're not good in a way.
the downside to having a 9-to-5 job. One of the big downsides is that you tend to spend so much time in that business, and with so little return, only money and some minimal wins,
Yeah.
that at some point you start thinking that you have no options. And I think if you invested 5 years in a domain, or 10 years in, I don't know, IT,
Yeah.
it's hard to give it all up and say, because you gain all this experience, maybe you moved up the corporate ladder, and you have to give it all away to start a passion job. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Because if you're used to having being a manager for 10 years, yeah, it's hard to start your own business and start from scratch. Because it's fun to be the boss. The movie, I think, Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's fun to be the king. Okay.
I think I saw it, but I don't remember this specifically.
So that's a negative to the or a con on the 9-to-5 job, because it limits your potential. You might encounter a bad boss. You might encounter bad policies at your company that you are not aware of, and after 3 years you have to move up, and then you realize you wasted your last 3 years in a company that doesn't promote people like you, or doesn't value your things. So yeah, it is a bit hard.
Yeah.
In that perspective. And I think people often criticize 9-to-5 jobs because they think they have options, and they are not brave enough to take them. So that makes them feel that they are trapped and they can't do anything about it, and then they become bitter about their own situation.
Yeah.
Because if you're let me give you an example. If you are in prison, let's say that you're in prison, and the only job that you can have there is being in the kitchen, a cook, or no job at all. You can have a decent life in prison, like you can go out and exercise, eat and read and go to sleep, or you can have a job, but the only job is a cook, being a cook. Is the only option that you have, and you have to decide, I want to spend it resting, or I want to, and if you're in the kitchen, you don't think of, oh, I'm trapped in this job. Okay, I'm trapped I'm in a prison, but this is the best I can do right now. So my option is to sit and do nothing and do that thing that is the best thing I can do now. And you cannot be disappointed in that. But if you think that you have options and you say, okay, I'm better than this, but you don't take actions, yes, you will become bitter, because in yourself, in your brain, you think that you are better than this job. You deserve more than this job is offering you, but you don't get it. So you become a victim of the society, of my boss, and you become bitter. And you don't like the job because you think you deserve better. Okay.
Yeah, and that's never a good idea. And yeah, I would say that doing something is always a good idea, not only having an idea, which isn't worth anything really, because everybody has a lot of ideas on a daily basis. But you should do something, but not be reckless. It's a good idea to have a bit of a safety net financially, not wait around until you could live for a few years without money. A few months is usually a good one. And also you should so have a good safety net, and yeah, spend the time that you have every day after your job that you do to support your family, to see if there is really something there, to see if you could really do something. Maybe talk to someone that you know that's already done that. Check the internet, there's a lot of tutorials that help you do a lot of things, but yeah, don't approach anything. I really like your idea. Don't approach anything with a sense of entitlement, with knowing that you deserve to be a millionaire in every field. That's not true. It's determined by work in the end. And
there are some lucky people, yes, who didn't put in the effort and had the results. But you're not really one of them. They are.
They stole something.
They had lucky breaks or something like that. But that's not the norm. That's the exception. So you can't make a rule thinking of exceptions. You're thinking of the rule. So.
So yeah, it's an interesting subject because it's one that we have to deal with every day, and yeah, it's something that everybody has to work through. But yeah, I think don't get stuck in something, and when you're stuck in something, try to get out. Don't just complain about it. That would be the thing that I would have as a conclusion.
Oh, that's a good conclusion.
That's a good one, okay. So we're gonna keep going, I think, in January with priorities, and
we'll see how February goes.
okay, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.